Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Hi, this is Real Conversations with Lisa and Susan, and I'm Susan.
And I'm Lisa. Welcome.
Today we're going to be talking about stepping up to the plate. People who have identified problems or issues and come up with their own solutions and gotten together the resources to solve problems, create programs.
Stepped up to the plate.
Stepped up to the plate. So that's why we're calling it Stepping Up to the Plate.
In researching this show, both of us had heard of various organizations that were started because someone had an idea, someone saw a need, they saw a gap in services, or they saw, something was missing, and they took it upon themselves to make a change or to get the resources available. So
yeah, and like the whole theme for those people who may be watching our show for the first time, the whole theme of our show, Real Conversations, is what can we offer viewers that will help make their lives better? It's all about enhancing the quality of our viewers' lives.
That's what got us started in the first place.
Yeah, that was what inspired us.
To step up to the plate.
To step up to the plate and start a show. Exactly. And so we wanted to feature some other people in the community that have taken it upon themselves, gotten buy-in from their community, their family, their friends, their coworkers, and really, created incredible programs that have really made a difference in people's lives.
And we're going to talk about two particular programs, but really we also want to, in general, talk about, what was the thinking behind it? What did it take? Why did you do this? I mean, many of us have great ideas.
And we have a lot of things to complain about. If it's not the economy, it's the weather, it's the government, it's the lack of this, it's the too much that, and that's kind of easy to do.
Very.
Stepping up and trying to change the world is not so easy. And it really does take a lot.
And it can be very, very rewarding. So we are going to include our guests now. We have with us today two just wonderful, wonderful women who have stepped up to the plate. We have first Joanne Tabison, who started the working group on girls in Schenectady County. Mm-hmm. And then we have Tara Brettholtz.
Brettholtz.
I'm sorry. Yes. I'm so sorry. Who started Power of a Purse, and you're the president of Mothers and More, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Mm-hmm. So, Tara, how about if you just start us off with, tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get started with Power of a Purse?
Well, thank you. I started with Mothers and More about 3 years ago when my daughter was young and we were looking for friends. But the unique thing about this organization was that it really focused on the more. You're a mother, we're all mothers, but what is the more? What defines you as a person? And for our group, we wanted to kind of extend that sense of who we were, out into the community, reach out and have an impact on the lives of other mothers. So we connected with a great organization, YWCA, both in Troy and Schenectady, and wanted to see what they needed. And what they really needed was support. They were getting things like donations of food and toothbrushes and clothing, but what the women needed was a boost, a shot of self-confidence, and the purse was one thing that seemed like it could really do that.
So was this...
Life is always better when you have a new purse.
Oh my God, purses and shoes, forget about it. So was this a group that you started? Mothers and More?
No.
Or was this an existing group?
It was absolutely existing. It's been around for 23 years.
Wow, I never even heard of it.
Yeah.
Is it a local program?
Started in Chicago, Illinois, and grew to over 100 chapters nationwide.
Wow.
But
We
the
probably
power,
never heard of it because we don't have kids.
no. But the power of a purse was your
We're
program.
the and more part.
Yes.
So you started Power of a Purse.
I did, and it really has very humble beginnings. You know, I went to the YWCA thinking that we might do a canned food drive for them, and there was just this moment of connection with one of the directors where she said, it's great, but it doesn't change their lives. And I knew that driving down there, I was looking for something that would have a greater impact. So the idea of purses just kind of came to me, and then I had to rally the members and the organization to put it together.
We'll talk more about that in just a second. I want to bring Joanne in. And why don't you tell us about the how you got started with the Schenectady County Working Group on Girls and a little bit about yourself.
And what it is.
Yes,
Because I'm
good.
really curious. Yeah.
Good, yes. Well, I'm delighted to be here. I retired from work in about 2001 and joined the League of Women Voters. I had been a member earlier before I had family and career, and so got back involved and was very fortunate to go to the National Convention in Washington, D.C. about 6 years ago. And they had a forum on the United Nations. One of the League members is a representative to the UN. And she was also talking about this International Working Group on Girls that is an NGO under UNICEF, and how women from women's groups internationally had gotten together to advocate on behalf of girls through the UN. And they have a website, and they were saying, one of the quotes on their website says, the futures of women and girls are tied together. Girls cannot advance without the advancement of women, and no improvement in the lives of women will be sustained unless girls are given the tools and opportunity to reach their potential, for they are the women of tomorrow. And this was a quote from Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so they talked about what they're doing at the international level, and I came away so inspired and thinking that why don't we start something in Schenectady that pulls together women and men from a lot of different agencies and organizations and school systems that work with and care about girls. And so the League of Women Voters said, terrific, go ahead, and we did it in collaboration with AAUW.
And that is what?
American Association of University Women.
Oh, okay.
And we went out and
group.
yes, and we went out and we started pulling together a representative from Girls Inc., from Boys and Girls Club, from YWCA, from the school system, from Safe Inc., from just a lot of different organizations in Schenectady that work with and care about girls. And we started putting on community forums to educate the community about girls' issues. And we did this for about 4 years. And we had a mission statement working together to put the spotlight on girls and educate the community about their needs, challenges, opportunities, and successes. And as we were doing this, we had forum on mentoring, the importance of mentoring, a forum on girls and violence, a forum on bullying, when the bully is a girl. And these had good attendance, but we really wanted to do something more directly for girls. So we added to our mission statement facilitating programs on their behalf, and we're not direct service providers. So we decided that we would provide the wrap around a program for girls. And so we organized the program. And what it was, it started out on November 18th of last year as the first annual Girls' Day Out. And we had 150 7th and 8th grade girls from the Schenectady school system bused to the Glenn Sanders Mansion. And they had a full day, and they were just so excited. They had, in the morning, they took workshops on building relationship skills, because the theme was breaking barriers, building relationships. And so they could choose 2 out of 6 workshops in the morning to go to. They had a wonderful lunch, which thrilled them. And then in the afternoon, they could choose an arts expression workshop. And that would be dance or drumming or art or singing or theater.
I want to go.
I'm going to jump in here because I had an idea. I used to be on the board of United Way of Schenectady County, and that was years ago before it was absorbed by, I guess, the Capital Region, United Way. And got to chatting with some people there and was the board liaison to the beginning of the Women's Fund, when the Women's Fund
Yes.
first got started by Karen Billowith, when she was the
Yes.
executive director there. So
They're one of our sponsors this year.
terrific,
wonderful.
terrific,
Yes.
great,
We've
great.
both been involved with
Yes.
with that organization.
So when we were chatting initially, one of the thoughts that I had was to do like a weekend retreat that would be like a dream workshop for girls, so they
I
could
remember that.
dream. Remember that
Yeah.
idea that I had that never got off the ground? Another one that never got off the ground. But
Should get some coaching from them.
I know you sound awesome. Exactly. So that the girls could start to think of themselves in different ways and think of their future like as limitless.
And I hear a real connection with what what
Yeah,
you've done, Tara,
absolutely.
with helping the women to think differently about themselves through providing a purse. Could you say a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. You know, the purse was nice. Not only is it a fashion accessory, but it's symbolic of a woman's economic power. And one of the things that Mothers and More learned over a decade ago was that money in the hands of a mother does more to develop children, to make them healthier and stronger, and sustain the future, as you were saying. So that was very important as well. How do we get women thinking about the economic issues that impact them? Caregiving is in direct conflict at times with earning an income, especially when you have very young children. So we're trying to,
Especially if you're a single mother.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really challenging, but crucial.
absolutely, you need support, and there are programs that have that direct contact, like YWCA, that provides that hands-on support, and we were coming in as a third party to provide the kind of emotional support that says we may be at different rungs of the economic ladder, but we are all facing those same economic challenges.
Can you just share with everybody what you were able to do with the first time out? Because I was
Sure.
blown away.
Sure. Well, it started in 2009, a couple of months before Mother's Day. What we had wanted to do was try to get about 90 purses for all of the women.
2009 is just last year.
Yes.
All right? I mean, don't be thinking this has been going on 10 years in the making. This is last year.
Yes, it was
Wow.
it was really organic and powerful, and it connected. It touched a nerve with women. It was something that they were able to do. But I drove to that YWCA, had that meeting, and said, "Okay, we'll get you 90 purses." And I walked out of there thinking, I don't know if I can get 15. I don't know what I've just done. So I started making phone calls and looking for support from friends and family and members and small businesses where I knew the owners. And what happened was we ended up getting over 600 purses. And that was just the beginning. Other chapters of Mothers and More had heard about the campaign and put together their own programs in just 2 weeks. And one of those chapters out in Ohio got 350 purses. Other chapters might have gotten 100 or 85 or 50, but altogether we got 1,200 purses last year. This year, we just took that idea. I put it together in a kind of a manual that mothers around the country could look at and understand how the program works step by step. We got participation in 49 cities around the country from coast to coast, and we reached over 10,000 purses.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And what happened to those purses?
Every one of them was given to a woman who lives in a homeless shelter, a transitional facility like a YWCA, domestic violence support groups, also even substance abuse programs and transitional programs where women are trying to get their lives back after a period of imprisonment. So there was a wide variety of situations where all these women needed that little boost of support, and we were able to give it.
And it's so amazing. It's one of those things you take for granted. I used to work in a domestic violence shelter, and women would come in with the clothes on their back sometimes and with their children in tow. They'd have everything for their children, that they needed if they could, but they didn't think of, they just put their children first. So they, and I remember, just trying to get deodorant and different things for women, but, something like a purse. I mean, so many women we worked with had no luggage. They had no luggage. So we would work on getting that. So I just think it's such an amazing thing. I mean, that's just fantastic. What was it, do you think, for you that had you go from a good idea to making it happen? Like, what do you think was necessary to make that?
Support. Without hesitation, it had to be the right people in the organization who got it. We had been building this idea for 23 years with Mothers and More, that we wanted to focus on mothers first. And everything that we do is about supporting mothers, caring for the caregivers, because every other organization tends to focus on the needs of children. So this was a way for us to express a very deeply held belief in a very positive way, in a very simple way. Collecting purses is easy to do because everybody
got
has
some
them.
unused purse.
Exactly.
And you talk about gently used, right? These
Yes.
are nice purses, and you even get new ones too.
We
right?
do.
I'm just going to jump over to you for a second, because you said support, and I heard support in what you were talking about, because you said you had all these different organizations. Would you say that was critical for yours?
Absolutely.
Sort of bridging that gap?
Yes, and I think the most exciting, one of the most exciting things is that we have the volunteers who are part of the working group on girls. There's perhaps a core of 20 of us from all these different organizations that work together and do the planning and the fundraising for this. And then we've got the women who volunteered as the workshop leaders and with their expertise. And then we've got women, I didn't tell you about the follow-up. We have had follow-up girls' circles at the middle schools so that the girls who started out at the Glenn Sanders then could come to monthly meetings at their
so
school.
great. That is so important.
Who designed this? Did you design this?
Yes, we just, as you used the word organic, it developed.
Wow.
So they have monthly meetings at the middle school.
Yes, and this coming year we're going to double it and go to twice a month.
One of the reasons that we started with this show was our innate desire to connect. And that was really one of the reasons that we decided that we would do the show. I mean, out of frankly, my need to connect with people is why I got to do it.
And our dream of having a talk show.
And our dream of having a talk show. So what I hear is that the women that you are working with, actually both of you, in both of your groups, is there's an innate desire to connect and a willingness to open up and just see yourself as part of a network of people trying to do something, move something forward. And I think that is the strength of being a woman, truly.
Well, it's such teamwork.
Yeah.
So, not only do we have then those leaders of the girls' circles, whom we call muses. They are women who are there to challenge and support and encourage the girls in these girls' circles. But we also have the clinicians at the school that we've worked closely with who help us by getting the girls out to the various meetings that we have.
Right.
And providing a lot of support. And then, of course, our donors, the funders of the organization.
And can I ask you something about, the role of men and fathers in all of this? Because, let's face it, it is relevant. It's important. I happen to work with a men's group in Schenectady County called Community Fathers, Inc. And they're a great group of guys. They are men who have become estranged, or in the past had become estranged from their children.
Another person who stepped up to the plate, by the way, the man who started that.
Yes, he was on our show.
Yes, I know.
Walter Simpkins. So when I first met these people, these gentlemen, it was about 20 of them around a table, and we were all going around and talking. I was there as a consultant, but we were going around the table, and I figured, I'll tell my story too. And I said, from a woman's, I'm going to be the girl. I'm going to be your daughter right now. And I'm telling you, from a daughter's perspective, who their fathers are and who their fathers are for them is going to be critical for their health and well-being as they grow up. Their sense of themselves, the value that they place on themselves, the type of mate that they select in their life. And so it is so important that they have good male role models too, and the health of their relationship with whoever the significant male is in their life, be it an uncle, a teacher, whatever.
Well, when the girls came back from the first annual Girls' Day Out, the boys said, when are we going to have Boys' Day? And we feel we've got our hands full with this. We're glad to share whatever we've learned from this whole process. And we have talked with some men who are interested in starting something similar for boys. We know that the need is there for boys as well, certainly.
Absolutely.
But our connection is with the girls, and so that's where our focus is. But we'd be thrilled, and I know the boys would be too, if there was something for them.
For both of you, I guess, because one of the things I'm hoping that occurs out of the show is that people get inspired to, when they see, a need or desire,
Or have an idea.
and they want to, make a difference. Did you have like a fear of, like you said, you were afraid you weren't going to get 15? I mean, how did you deal with that? Those fears of, 150 girls is
most
bigger
people, like, I'm going to venture to say 80% of people would let that fear stop them and say, nobody's going to be interested, everybody's going to be too busy, people are going to think I'm crazy, blah, 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 right?
Right. So how'd you
get over that? Or did you
You
not
just,
have
you just
it?
keep on going out on that limb and hoping that there's more support there.
Until you fall off the
And
limb.
telling the story, and there is incredible support in the community that we have found.
That's true. It's passion. I think when people recognize a spark of passion in you, that you have that story to tell, and you keep telling it. When I was, just trying to convince people of this idea and get them to see my vision, I started talking to people, and sometimes I would preface my conversations by saying, this might sound crazy to you, but I have this idea, and I feel like you're the right person to be talking to. And every one of those conversations became fruitful in some way.
How many of those conversations did you have to have before you hit onto the right person and then the thing just exploded?
Wow, tough question. I mean, I can think of one person who helped it explode, and it was one of the first conversations, and it was somebody I didn't even know. So it can be anyone. I would just say keep them going, and don't be discouraged when you talk to somebody who at first might seem lukewarm about it. It takes time to sometimes process the idea and understand what it could be.
I recently saw Jack Canfield, who's the co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. I had the opportunity to meet him and see him in L.A., and I heard him tell his story. And he and Mark Victor Hansen went through 144 publishers who said no to them before the 145th said yes. Now think about that. They could have stopped at 5 and 20, and these guys are billionaires now because it's won every award in the world because it's the best-selling, whatever, Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Self-help book.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that we gave girls, when they left the Girls' Day Out, we gave them a soccer bag with our logo on it and gifts inside of it. And one of the gifts was Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul, the real deal. And so we have a connection with that story too.
Yeah, but you think about, a lot of times people get rejected, and in your case you said one of the first conversations you didn't, which is great, but a lot of times you hear a no and you think, or you hear 2 or 3 no's. But when I heard that about Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, I was like, how many no? You don't know how many no's, because they could have stopped any of those times and not helped. Not just how much money they've made, but not helped. How many people can you imagine that they've helped? I mean, every one of those girls that got the book.
And I think that's what you need to focus on. As you are trying to push your idea forward and trying to, get buy-in and get somebody else excited about it, you just have to keep focused on the difference that it can make in people's lives if it could actually happen. I have something that I'm kind of working on now myself, and it's a little discouraging because I haven't had somebody come up and say, okay, I'm going to support you. I'm going to help you make this happen. I've had some people do their part, and everyone says it's a good idea, but I haven't had that one person that's going to make it happen, And it's discouraging, but I do try to think of how many people it will help once the idea is off and running.
And the other thing I heard that was really in both your stories was none of this was been about you. Right? You didn't do it for you. You did it for something bigger. Would you agree?
Exactly, for the girls.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it can't be about you. The minute it's about you, it's not good anymore. And you won't inspire people, as you say, Tara. You won't get that buy-in.
And what ended up happening was that although it was not about us, it benefited us, and it had that impact on our lives. We had a greater impact. We went in thinking, we're going to do this good thing for women, and it's going to make them feel good, but what we got out of it was unexpected. It was much greater.
I'm curious to know, so you've had since November, you've had these monthly meetings. What kind of results have you seen in the girls? Have you had comments from them, or?
Well, we certainly had, we had thought we would be stopping these groups, these girls' circles at the end of the year, and yet girls said, we want to keep going. And so now we're trying to scramble and figure out how we can keep girls' circles going for the 8th graders or maybe even into the 9th grade, those that want to continue, plus then
I think
this
they
next
need
year.
it. They need it when they get
Yes.
older, too.
Yes, and we also had a meeting that was a report back to the community to let our funders and other people in the community know what we've been doing. And we had a couple of panels of people, of the girls who talked about their experience, and then some of the leaders who talked about their experience. And then spontaneously, 2 of the mothers who were there in the audience stood up and said, "Thank you for giving me back my daughter."
Oh.
And I hadn't been able to communicate with her, and now I can, and she comes home so excited after these girls' circles to talk about what we've been doing. So
That's
and
what it's
ano-
about, you know.
Yes.
That's what it's about.
Yes,
So
and
you're
another-
not just changing the girls' lives, but you're helping the whole family.
And
Yes.
the community,
Yes.
because you have a whole different person. So we have a couple minutes left. I mean, what would you say to somebody who has an idea or who wants to, who's afraid or
Who's been sitting on an idea and hasn't gotten the motivation or the courage to move forward with it?
Well, in our case, we pulled together a team of people and developed our ideas about what we wanted to do together. And so I think it was that teamwork that made a big difference.
So
That
finding
would-
people who will support you
Yes,
and
yes.
bring their ideas, because I'm sure everybody's perspective made it even a better
Exactly.
program. There's probably
Yes.
things you wouldn't have thought of if it wasn't for those other people.
Right.
That's great. How about for you?
Right, and if you don't have a team, currently I would say keep talking about it. Share your idea, share your vision, bounce ideas off of people, and be very receptive as well to what the need is. We shouldn't ever assume that we know what someone else needs. We really want to go in with a sense of humility about it, saying we want to help, but we want to first try to understand, and then we'll bring the help.
I recently read this quote, and I believe it's in my book, and I can't think of who said it, but it was basically that asking is the most underused tool that human beings use. That asking is the secret to success in any endeavor, and I have to agree. I mean, just being willing to, make a request or talk about it, like you say, and let go of your, how you think it's going to make you look.
Yeah, whenever I've had the wherewithal to ask, I've rarely been turned down. And it's like people want to help. I think generally people want to help.
And they may be able to help in ways that you didn't know. Maybe they don't have money to give you, but they may have a connection that you need or something like that. Well, this has just been a wonderful, wonderful conversation.
I'm inspired.
I know. And we're going to put your websites up at the end so people
Terrific.
can contact you. And again, we want to thank you both for being here. Mothers and More and Power of a Purse, right?
Yes.
And also the Schenectady County Working Group on Girls.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching Real Conversations with Lisa and Susan. I'm Lisa,
And I'm Susan.
and we'll see you again real soon.